Welcome back to Business on the Treasure Coast. I'm Bob Leone with Acquisition Experts, and today my guest again is Mr. Steve Fenton. Steve, how are you today?
I'm well. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks for coming back. On the last segment, Steve told us a little bit about his background and all his incredible awards he won in his second year of service at Acquisition Experts. And it's not really just with Acquisition Experts. It was with our organization, the Business Brokers of Florida, that he won 3 major awards. And so with that, Steve, like I told you when I had Ken Elkin on, and in the future we'll probably have Dale Armour on, we're all generalists in the business, so we sell to everybody and everything, but we each have our own personal experience background, and that brings something to the table for some of our individual buyers and sellers. And Steve has two specific niches, and we'll go into the first one, then we'll go into the second one. He just recently sold his own FedEx route. So tell us a little bit about FedEx, your experience, and how that whole process went down.
Well, thanks, Bobby. I appreciate the mention of the accolades. The FedEx routes is a great business. Started buying FedEx routes about 5-6 years ago. Most people don't know that you can own FedEx routes. Throughout the country, FedEx Ground and FedEx Home Delivery are all subcontracted out. So there's about 8,000 contractors who have a relationship with FedEx, and they deliver probably in your neighborhood. So I decided about a year ago that it was time to move on. I think my wife says that I have a hard time holding a job. So after about 5 years, decided to put them on the market. And the reason was is because of my affiliation with you all in the brokerage business. It got to the point where we were getting very busy in business brokerage, and FedEx is a very busy business, and decided to make a choice. So ended up selling the FedEx routes. I will tell you that it is a great business model. In fact, actually, they've become very popular recently because of the fact that not only have they survived this pandemic we're in, but they've actually grown because of e-commerce. And so a lot of the calls that I get are for people that are very interested in purchasing FedEx routes. So it's a good business model. It's a specialty of mine, as you mentioned, because obviously I understand the business since I've been in it for 6 years. The other specialty that I don't think you mentioned yet is in contracting, constructions. Not coincidentally, that was another business that I ran for about 10 years here in the Treasure Coast area. Really enjoyed it. We're finding that a lot of people that are in the construction business are to a point where they're kind of like me. They're at that baby boomer stage. They're getting ready to retire. They're ready to move on. They have grandkids. They want to spend more time with them. So we're seeing a lot of activity in the contractor-related business, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, electrical, general contractors, roofing contractors, and that seems to be a niche that I enjoy working with because I understand contractors. They have a hard job. They have a lot of people they have to please. You've got the customers, you've got the regulators, you've got suppliers and vendors, and of course employees and your staff. But if you're good at running that kind of a business, you can make very good money. And I think a lot of buyers, a lot of investors, and a lot of people that are interested in going in business have discovered that. They've seen that. They understand that. And so there's this supply-demand phenomenon that's going on in our industry right now, where we're seeing a lot of buyers that I think maybe because of the pandemic, but I think just because people generally want to own their own business, that are coming to the forefront and saying, this is a good business, the construction-related business, and I want to buy one.
So let me ask you a few questions on each one of those specifically. From a buyer standpoint, if I'm a buyer, and you said on our last segment, a lot of times buyers call in and they have no idea what they're even looking to buy. Mm-hmm. What qualifications would somebody look to have if they want to be in a route business, whether it's specifically a FedEx or any sort of route business? Is there any sort of skill set that you would look for?
I think with the route businesses, like most businesses, you need to understand business. So you need to understand how to work with employees, because you're going to have drivers So you need to be good at recruiting and human resources. You need to be good at managing your business on a day-to-day basis. Whether it's working with the vendors, whether it's working with the customers. So I don't think that particular business is any more unusual than any other business, with one exception. You have a contract with a Fortune 50 company. So I described it like this. It's like my feet are in two worlds. I'm in the business world because I own the business. I'm an independent contractor with FedEx, but I'm also in the corporate world because you're working with and partnering with a major corporation, and it is a huge corporation. I think they're a $70 billion annual corporation. So you need to be able to understand that model of business, because they don't always move as fast as business people do, and be able to work in that environment with the corporate side at the same time that you're managing your business, your independent business. So that's probably the big uniqueness about routes, in terms whether it's FedEx, whether it's a Frito-Lay business, whether it's a bread business. You're working with a major company and you have your own business. So there's kind of a balance there.
And no specialty license required for most of those route businesses.
No.
So now let's jump into your other niche, the construction industry, which, when I look at, when I pull up our MLS system and I go to construction, under subcategories, there's got to be, 75, and that's just on one page. So in the construction, there's so many different sub areas under construction, and there are a lot of licensing requirements. Talk a little bit about that.
Bobby, you're absolutely right. In fact, some businesses are very license demanding. For example, a general contractor, if you want to go into building homes or remodeling, you need to have a fairly high level license, and typically that's a general contractor's license. So to buy a business that does that, you either need to come in with a license, or you need to have somebody that's willing to qualify your business, which there's a cost to it. Or in a lot of cases, we see that the seller, the outgoing contractor, is willing to stay on for a period of time to help you bridge the gap where you can either get your license, or maybe you're just going to operate the business and they can be the license qualifier. That's kind of at the extreme end. Then there's a lot of what we would call subcontractors or specialty fields, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing. They have their own license, and many times that license is just generic to the municipality, the city, the state, the county, if that's where you're going to operate. But usually you want to get to a point where you have a state license, and that does have certain requirements as far as experience or education that you can use. So there are some there's a roadblock there that you need to go over if you don't have that license to do that. But again, we find that I had an example that I gave in the last video where I had a buyer that was buying an HVAC business. And he knew that there was going to be a period of time where the seller was going to have to qualify the business. And so they came to an arrangement where that was able to work for both of them. And then you kind of have the other segment of the business that really doesn't require any licenses, like a flooring business or a cabinet business, where typically those businesses are subbing out the installation. And so those subcontractors will have their own license. You're just providing the goods and the services. So you may be providing the flooring or the tile or the cabinets, and there's not a license, a contractor's license that necessarily is requested for that.
So here on the Treasure Coast, you've lived on the Treasure Coast for quite some time. Construction, good or bad right now?
Great.
Great.
Yeah, been a nice run. If you were a contractor and you survived the Great Recession, which some of us did. I was a contractor during that period, and you came out of it. You've had some really nice years since then. The challenge with construction-related businesses is typically they're very sensitive to the cycles of the economy. So when the economy is great, like it is right now, they're doing well. We hit another recession, that's going to be a challenge.
And only the strong will stand.
Yep, that's true.
So, Steve, it's been a pleasure having you on. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for somebody to reach you?
Oh, please call my office, 772-220-4455. I'd love to talk to you.
And again, Bob Leone with Acquisition Experts. We're here to help you buy or sell a business. And thanks for listening today.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks.